Hey there, how's it going? I think this thing's going. Anyway, yes, it's bigSHow theGod here. I haven't been on for a while, so I thought I'd talk about some stuff, share some ideas, share some thoughts, maybe even share some stuff I've been doing. So, what's the title? What's the title I started off with? It was Stuck in the Past. Oh, and Stupid Forever. Yeah, there's a couple of things there I kind of observed, or I learned something, and I thought, oh yeah, that makes sense, and then I thought I'd stick that there. Bit off topic here. First, maybe this is just me. I was at the gym today, and I thought I'd. That's probably my third thing was probably how I judge people. I'm 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 notorious for it, right? Uh, I judge people nonstop, and because I talk a lot, freaking out, I can judge. I'll judge the hell out of other people, and as I've sort of talked about before, I judge myself pretty harshly too. But you know, I'm used to judging myself. Anyway, see what you think of this. So it's a random day. I've decided I'll go for a run on the treadmill. So I'm on the treadmill, and I've been running 30 minutes, and I do about 10 k's an hour. So I would have done 5 k's. It's kind of slow, but whatever, right? I still get enough of a workout through that, and I normally do an hour. So anyway, this guy hops on next to me. He's on next to me, and that's whatever. And then he's walking for a while, and I just keep running. And then he starts jogging, and I don't know if this is everybody in the gym, but I'm the type of guy that I notice that it actually motivates me in some ways, especially on the treadmill because I'm kind of struggling. And so I'm like, right, I'll stay running until he stops at least, you know. And so that sort of shifts my mindset somewhere when I'm starting to think about, oh, you know, I've done enough. Why don't I hop off and all that sort of stuff? So anyway, here's what it is. This other guy hops on the other side to me on the treadmill, hops on the other side, and a similar sort of thing, walking, and I'm in the middle. Sweet. Then they start talking to each other. They're going to have a workout later, right? And these guys must be 20, 22, 23. Okay. And can't, I end up listening to what sort of workout they're going to do. And they're, oh yeah, man, we'll go hard, right? What we'll do is we'll do, we'll do a kilometer on the treadmill each, and then we'll go lift some weights, you know, go do some weights. And I'm straight away to myself going, what a couple of girls. You know, a kilometer. You're going to run a kilometer? But that's exactly what I go to, right? I'm that type of guy that when these guys are doing their best and trying to think, you know, trying to better themselves, I assume, or from whatever. And I instantly go to, you're a couple of fairies. You're a couple of, what a couple of blouses. I don't know if everybody's like that or it's just me or, you know. And so anyway, they're both walking. These guys This is where I've probably been judgmental. These guys are 20-something, walking next to some old dude on a freaking treadmill, running slow, I'll admit, on level freaking 11. And they're walking on level freaking 5, right? And talking across the guy, saying how they want to have a fucking tough workout today. And so they walk for a while, I won't lie, and then they start jogging at level 9. They're jogging at level 9. I've been running half an hour. I'm now into like 40 minutes, say, 40-ish minutes. These two clowns are now jogging, apparently running for them, running on the treadmill for a while. So I carry on. Then they stop. Back to a walk. I've been running the whole time. I get to like 45, 50 minutes and still running. Then these clowns start running again. It'd be like 800 meters, maybe. I'm like, really? Really? So anyway, they finish. They finish their run. I don't know these two. And off they go. And they're in the weight room part. I finish mine. I help off. I sweat a lot and that sort of stuff. So I wipe myself off. So I go, oh, yeah. I'll get into my weight session now. Go to the weights. And I go over to the weights. And they're in the weight area doing, what were they doing? Shoulder press thing. There's two guys, your traditional, they're doing incline press or something. And I happen to be doing the same thing, actually. So I get the incline and, grab my weights. They're grabbing theirs. But I superset stuff, right? So I'll do a set of incline and then I'll go and do some bar raises or whatever. I mean, no one gives a shit. But anyway, I can't help myself but sort of listen to these two dudes as they're working out, and they're motivating each other and they're going, I don't like to talk about the weight that they're lifting, but I will for this example. So they're doing incline press, 20 freaking, anyway, they're doing incline press and they're using 14 kilo dumbbells, right? And they're struggling like hell with these things. So I don't want to mock them, but I'm over on the side and I'm, those sorts of weights you might do raises. I mean, they're reasonably sized guys. I'm not saying these are little guys, and everybody has their own levels. Actually doesn't matter what you lift. But I guess it was more the conversation they were having that intrigued me the most. It's not really what they're lifting. It was more the, when I hear people talking, that was the bit about, one more, do another couple, two more, one more. Like it was some sort of, what's the word? Some sort of huge achievement. But they were doing like 3 or 4 reps. I guess my point is to this. That's obviously me. See, I'm the one judging these guys doing it, and that carries over to all my other judging that I do everywhere else, where I judge myself, where I judge others. So that was just an example of how I walk around, and then maybe that's my ego as well getting in the way. Here I am talking about the weight they're lifting, and that matters. Why does that matter? Now I'm talking about their conversation. Why does their conversation matter? Does that make me feel better? Does that make me feel stronger, bigger? All this crap. And it brought me back into that kind of the way I think, right? And so I intrinsically think that, or that kind of way, without even trying to. And I try a lot to not think that way, but it's freaking there. I think it. and is it a distraction? Probably. I don't know. It seems to be the way I'm wired. So anyway, that was I don't know whether it's a judgmental thing, and they might segue me into this other thing that I was going to start talking about, a judgment thing, or is it in line with my title of this video, was with IQ, with our IQ that we have, and past. Am I stuck in the past? You know, is that residue of being of the two together? So let me explain what I mean by the latter bit, the IQ. So there's plenty of studies out there, and whether you agree with the research or not, but it appears quite substantial that you can't increase your IQ very, very much in a lifespan. There's been lots of studies and lots of tests. They use there's kind of like some clear examples with guys that have really high IQs, and they're like 12 years old, 13-year-old kids. They get them. They go to university, and they can do high mathematics really well, really quickly, and can subjectively think those things through and push the boundaries, right? And they're 12 years old. You know, I know we might say, well, they've got a talent. And it's kind of along those lines, right? It won't matter what I do or what someone else. So they're already there at 10, 11, 12, say 9 years old. They were already doing complex algebra, say, and then they get in the right environment, and they can really exasperate that and go from this level and reach their potential, which on the graph is probably whichever. They can do that. Would you take someone else that's actually even half as good as them, or a third in their lifetime, with the same sort of tools and same sort of bits, they're only going to increase their IQ, you know, relatively too, right? So it's pretty much a fact that your IQ won't, over your lifetime, regardless of how much you do, won't increase that much. Your IQ, it can increase, but it's so the point that you can do, though, is you can increase your knowledge. You can increase knowledge. You can learn and establish more knowledge, sometimes through experience and knowledge, but your IQ won't increase. But your knowledge base, you can be smarter from a knowledgeable base, and apply what you can, but that won't increase your IQ. That makes sense? That's the way I take it anyway. And that makes sense to me. So that's why I say, if you're stupid now, you're probably going to be fairly stupid later. Maybe with a lot of work and a lot of extra stuff, you can be less stupid. But it won't be much stupid. Right. But if you're born and you're in a reasonable environment, you can do a reasonable amount with that with your IQ at this level, right? If you're a lot of studies show that if your fucking IQ's a lot lower than that, it won't freaking matter what you do. You're still going to have this kind of way about yourself, you know. So that's I find that quite good to know. So that way you can like model things a certain way and keep learning, keep doing, I guess. So that was that piece that I observed of that or learned, and I wanted to share that bit. Then the other bit was my observation of being like how we're stuck in the past. And that kind of makes sense, and how all my past events are affecting my current events, or affecting my current state of what I know about. And even if I increase my knowledge increase my knowledge a little bit, I'm still fundamentally doing a lot of the same stuff, but I might be able to grow myself with knowledge and experience certain ways. But how much further you break out, that's an interesting one. And so what I sense from that is if I'm not able to, if I keep holding on to the past stuff, the growth I make either mentally or physically is always kind of shackled with my past. Am I explaining that kind of right? So if I self-improve, try and explain this. If I self-improve, it doesn't matter the area, my past will always influence my current state or mindset, because my memories are very influential. I can bring memories up quite well, and as animals, we're pretty good at that, bringing up memories. And it doesn't matter whether they're positive or negative, they're still past memories. They're not generally that current. You can have, so if I've improved myself a year ago, but I was this way for 30 years, right, of consciously knowing that I was, or subconsciously, doesn't really matter. There's a year, it's still only this much of my timeline, right? That I've made this change or self-improvement, say, whether it be physical health versus mental health versus social things, relationships, all that sort of jargon, right? Any change I make is very on my time scale, and obviously if I stick with it for longer, then that increases the thing. But this chunk of my life is still there, and so it makes sense that I would continue to revert mentally minimum to memories of my past, and they would influence whatever self-improvement bits that I'm doing. And it's not to say they would be in a negative way. They could be a positive. They will influence it, is my point. Positive or negative. There's no real difference. It's the influence of that past, right? I could say, well, I used to do that, so I'm definitely not doing that. So that's why I'm sticking to this, right? As an example. That's still using the past to influence. See what I'm trying to say? Or I could have had a negative experience back in the day. I'm thinking that's why I'm not freaking doing that now. I was broke, so I don't want to go back to being broke because I can recall some of these emotions and feelings and memories of being broke. I'm doing everything I can here to not be broke. But that's influencing it. You see what I'm saying? You could argue, well, it's influencing you in a positive sense. Yeah, maybe. It could influence you in a positive sense it's still influencing it, yet it may be influencing you in a negative point, but you're not seeing that point, right? Because you're still using these influences or avoidance. So I'm avoiding something because of something that happened before. Something people might say is a credit card. Oh no, I had a credit card when I was younger. I built up all these bills. I racked it up. Oh, fuck, I'm never having a credit card again. Well, okay. It wasn't the credit card. It was your habits and what you did. The credit card wasn't that. And yet the credit card could offer some advantages or some processes within the credit card that could give you extra advantages, extra opportunities. So don't rule them out, but we have ruled it out because of my past. My past experience is so strong enough that it's not even a subject that I talk about. Yet that could be quite valid. That there's not a lot of benefit to using the credit card, so ruling that out is fine. It's just an example. But there's other ones that are amongst it that are probably influencing you from taking more positive steps here. You know what I'm saying? So my past, whether I like it or not, is influencing now, is my point. And so I spend a lot of time trying to understand my past and then hardening a lot of the things I do in the present to make them more relevant now. See what I'm trying to say? So I try to only use anything. I guess 3 years is a sort of a term I've been using. I don't know whether that's where I've got that from. 3 years seems to be a time span that's not too short but not too long. You can argue to that. I don't know how I've come up with that. 36 months. What's that do? It's like a presidential term. Is it a president? Government term? I don't know. Anyway, that I noticed that for me anyway, I've been doing this for at least 9 years. I've got 3 pieces of subject matter there that I use. And I try to only really base things around that 3-year part. So my past influences, as best as I can, I try to only use. So I've got today and 3 years back as my graph or as my historic data. So it doesn't matter how, I try to. I think you can turn around a lot of things in 3 years. I guess that's where I've come up with from a health perspective. I think people say, well, it takes you 3 or 4 months of doing a habit to make it a habit. I sense you can beat that up pretty easy. I say 3 years is pretty sound and solid of what I would of consistent data. That's reasonable. And if you can stay on track for 3 years, that makes reasonable sense. That I'd consider something within the 3 years. And the reason I don't like going too much further than that is because, well, if you're hardening and learning and these are your consistent days here, why would I need these? That's just going further back. And that can depend on the subject matter, though. So I'm happy to talk some old subjects and talk some old stuff, but I'm not sure about the relevance. That's probably where I'm getting to. So what's led me on this kind of subject is as I age, I get more and more reunion types of requests. So I've been in clubs for tens of years, and so now I'm getting, come to the club and let's have a Jubilee or a past night, right? And look, not everyone probably will agree with me on this, but I don't really go to those. I find those me looking back on so far, I don't understand the benefit of that. I might get some like feel good things about historic stories of mine, and I pull on them and use them as examples. I do. But I do notice that I can dwell on those things and start stuff from back in these memories that can now start influencing plans and goals and milestones and focuses that I had here. And it's interesting because my friends get quite what's the word? They get quite not emotional. They get quite verbal and quite frustrated with me that I have that type of opinion. You know, it's a bit like the yes no subject, right? I've been practicing a lot saying no. It's freaking hard saying no. Uh, and along the no lines, you have to go through those feelings, and then these types of things pop up. And when you say no, I'm not going, they then say why? Why aren't you going? Now I can make up a story if you wish. I could say, oh well, I'm going to my friend's something something, whatever. I don't do that anymore. I stay what I consider to be honest. And that's a problem because nobody likes to hear, I don't want to go. It's not my scene. I'm not interested. Then my friends have a problem with that. So that's interesting in itself. You know, so whether I think I'm still not sure whether I'm I'm correct in this kind of perspective, in this mental perspective. But I thought I would go down this road because 99% of the reunions I go to or have been to previously, which isn't a lot of them, but I've been to them. I I'm I didn't get much out of them, to be honest. I found them to be uh, feel good, ego stroking, uh, kind of jokingly talking about kind of nothing. History that's I don't see it, that has any relevance to what I'm trying to do now. You know what I mean? Is it just some fun? Maybe I lack that perspective of it. Just have some fun for the night. Yeah, I don't know. Uh, I, I do enough pulling up old stories on my own without having 20 other idiots in the room doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because uh, yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm just not convinced that it's progressive. How's that? I don't think it's progressive. And then if it's not progressive, then what is it? Right? That's the argument. Or is it digressive? Eh, I don't know if it's digressive either. Possibly. Probably has the same opportunity to be digressive as progressive. So just depends on how far you want it, what you're taking from it. Seeing some old people that you saw from 30 years ago, shaking their hand, asking them what how old their kids are now 10 years older, or their mothers died, or they're doing this, or they're sick, or they're freaking living somewhere else, or the thing. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. Where am I going with this? What am I? So we've reconnected. I've seen you again. Am I going to see you next week? Probably not. Then what was the point of the catch up? Of talking about some old stories, right? So that's my that's my harsh take on it. Doesn't sound very sociable, does it? And that may be the gray area. sociable versus not sociable. May fit that one. But I go this way, right? With that same energy and experience that happens there, right? From the history and past and people I used to know. And there'll be people that I currently still see there as well. So you got current and past, right? All in the one pot there. Versus, so I go to that, versus me doing my goals and doing another step towards my milestones, focused on my health and my fitness and my finances and my relationships with my people that are important to me, my children, my brother, my parents, my wife, all those types of things. The same time on that versus that, see what I'm saying? Because that can get sidetracked, that can grow time-wise, you get the time. You can go to that, and then all of a sudden there's spring-offs to that, potentially. And my head can be stuck back into these times and re-looking at those. Well, then would it motivate me more seeing those guys and hearing some feedback from them? Maybe that would stroke my ego a bit because I look better now, or I've done this, or I've done that, and so to have some more praise on me, or some more validation, would encourage me to do some more, or would there be some negative feedback come from it? Let's say I hadn't done. Let's say, am I avoiding that same situation because of? Am I embarrassed of my past? Am I subconsciously not wanting to answer for some of those things? 100% don't think that's the case because I do a lot of that already, regardless of a reunion or a get together. It doesn't matter who I meet from my past. I'm very conscious of being of what was going on with my time with that person as an individual and whatever else they have memory wise. So I see that as a bit already. So don't think so. Don't think so. But that's something that could be critiqued and added. So yes, that was my kind of take on the whole reunion sort of type thing, and how the past plays a big part of my decision making, whether I like it or not, right? And so the more I contemplate that and try to alter that curve, regardless of all the past. So I can't forget the past for some reason. It's there. It's memories that are locked and loaded whenever I want. It's the tools that I have in place to look at more of what I do now and my habits and my what's the word, and focus on my goals. It would make more sense to distance those types of things as being important or being necessary. How's that? But not everyone will agree with that one, I don't think. But that's not common with me. Not everyone agrees with me eating at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Not everyone agrees with my opinion on 99% of the things I think. But hey, this is just another one, I guess. So yeah, so that was kind of the gist of what I was trying to get through. Anything else of a little bit more sort of off topic? What else can we talk about? Let's have a look at my list. think that's kind of it. The weather's picked up. It's a bit better these days. I I read a book just recently. I'll say that. And a lot of my learning and research I do is very kind of internet based. And reading books wasn't kind of on my list of learning things, whether that was because my attention span was not the greatest, or took too much effort. I was lazy. I guess there's an argument for that. Or I was arrogant and thought I already knew the answers before I read them. There's a piece of that, right? So I read a book, and I went through it, and I've actually got a lot of value out of that, quite a bit, from different perspectives. A lot of it validated me, which is what I kind of thought. But then there was a lot of positives that came from it too, which is a good thing, right? The one difference with this is that there's a group of us reading this book. So I think that's the piece that that's where the real value is coming from, if I'm honest. It's the sitting in a room with 7 other people that have read the book, and it's like a focus group. And now we're going through the exercises and talking from our own perspectives, what we're getting out of it, what we're doing with it, and what we're going to do with it. Right? Now that's powerful. That's the powerful part. You know, you could have argued that all 7 of us read a different book, and what we brought back would be equally as valuable, I suppose. It's true. But reading the same book and having different people give their take on it is the piece. So it's more than me reading the book, which is a good start, and I get my own stuff. But having a group of others that read the book as well, and it's functioning team that we want to do stuff with these tools that we've read, and to go from here to here, to be a higher functioning. Now that's interesting, and I haven't been involved with something like that. So I guess that's the powerful part. So we go through and a lot of things I talk about with these podcasts, to be honest, in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I've been kind of practicing a lot of this. And so this book kind of directs a lot of that stuff. Having tough conversations, being honest to yourself, and showing empathy and fucking courage and all this sort of jargon. These are just words that are applied to stuff that I've kind of been practicing already, right? But to now have a group that are kind of mentally reading into the same ways, seeing how they're taking that same information and what they're battling through or struggling with to try and better themselves, right? And it's cool. It's still quite early, about a month in. I mean, I read the book after the first day. That's the type of guy I am, I suppose. So I read the book, and then the rest of the guys took about 3 weeks or 4 weeks to read the book. And, you know, as you learn from these types of things, reading a book or watching a video or listening to a podcast or listening to information from someone, whether it's scientific or whether it's a lecture on freaking anything, it doesn't mean you learned anything, right? You can say you've read a book or done something. What does that mean? It's not until we see it applied, right? So it's the doing and living. Now, when we're talking life changes and things like that nature, as I talked about before, it ain't good enough today and tomorrow. and next week. It ain't enough. It ain't enough. It ain't enough, mate. I hate to say this. It ain't enough. It ain't enough on a diet, right? You change your diet this afternoon. 3 weeks in ain't enough, I have to say. So it's no different to being enlightened and saying, shit, I've realized I have barriers and walls up, and I've realized this, so I'm going to change that. Well, that ain't happening in 2 seconds, is it? So that process is quite cool too, because we think it's sorted. I've known it now, and so within a group of 7 or 8 people, you can have this person thinks he sorted it, he thinks he sorted it, and even me, I think I've sorted it, right? No, then I'll say, well, hold on, you haven't, because what about these 3 things that you did this afternoon? And then you battle it, right? Because you're going to defend it. If you says, well, my value is to be honest, I'll say, well, you weren't honest this afternoon. Yes, I was. Don't think you were. You can't say you're honest. Because you've been thinking you're honest already before you got here, probably, right? And that's the tricky bit. Is you have to have people skilled enough to actually give you that type of feedback. That's where high functioning groups only become high functioning groups by having people in the group being high functioning, right? Back to the IQ thing. If you're naturally a high functioning person, then it's more likely you're going to hold everybody accountable. But if you can't just call yourself high functioning, you can't call the group a high functioning group. It's not how it works. Who says? You can't be the graph. You can't be you can't say you're honest. You have to be, you have to have evidence for your honesty. You have to have evidence, and then it has to be verifiable that you're being honest. But it's subjective. So you probably weren't, So it gets tough. And that's what I love about it. Being authentic is really hard. And then to stay authentic. If you're authentic, you're authentic. If you're playing a game, if you're going, oh, I go to work and put my work hat on. Here I am, I'm at work, I'm going to be this way. And then we start talking about showing authenticity and empathy and humanism and being nice to everybody and not being hierarchical, say, well, fucking good luck with that. Because people ain't seeing that. So which one is it? Oh, but I'm at work, so I'm just going to be this way and clock in and clock out. Fine. It's the way you've been doing it now. What's the difference? So so the battles are going to be fun. And so for me, sitting there too, how far do I want to go with it too? You know what I'm saying? I just think we're better if you keep communicating and keep speaking out. If what you're saying is true, if it's your truth, then you're in trouble, right? Science doesn't care about your truth. It has to be subjectional, measured truths, and that's not everyone doesn't see that, right? So yeah, a lot of fun with that. So I might check in later. So see